Hey tribe, Heather with Heather Bresser Online. So excited that it is a new year. And with new years, are you considering starting your own business or working from home or transitioning to work a little at home and a little at the job? There's some pros and cons that you should really consider. Are you ready? In case you don't know me, my name is Heather Bresser with Heather Bresser Online. I help mompreneurs look like they got it all together while getting more done in less time. There's so many positives and pros in working from home. One is there's no commute. So you're saving on gas and tolls and wear and tear on your vehicle. I love that my commute is 10 feet. I can go from getting my coffee in the morning to walking in my office, and there's my commute. There's greater flexibility in where you're able to live. So, say you work in a metro area or right downtown, and it's typically living downtown is a lot more expensive. So, this allows you to work further or live further out and still be able to work. Another thing in greater flexibility is you can actually get more errands done. You can be there for when the kids get home. I absolutely love that I can take my laptop and when my kiddo's at school and be able to go and set up at a Starbucks and still get something done and be really, really productive, but and not waste time. I love that. So there are times where I just want to be by myself, but there are times that I really want to be around people too. So being able to take my work with me and, like I said, go sit at a Starbucks, go to the library, go set up and be productive, but also get my people time in. Huge pro for me. It's less stressful. You save money, more time with family. There's so many pros to working from home. Less stressful in that you if you set up your workspace properly, it can feed you. So it's less cluttered, less chaotic. Less distractions. So you're not stuck around the water cooler at work or constantly having coworkers or people come in and interrupt your flow of work with constant questions or whatnot. Saves you money, and like I said, with not having to commute, not having to eat out. You own your work environment. So if you want to work in your jammies. I personally don't. I get cute, and so that I'm ready to run out the door if something calls. And ease of dress. So, it can also be every day is kind of a casual Friday if you want it. You get to choose. There's total autonomy. So you get to choose when you work, how you work, and with who you work. I love that aspect of getting to choose kind of in all aspects of my business what different services, who are the clients. You don't always have to work with everybody, which is great. Improve your work life balance. So there's more time for me time. I absolutely love that I get up early and be able to get in my devotional time and start my day how I want to. More family time. It gives total flexibility. More time to exercise and fit in the more soul filling opportunities. And there's definite tax advantages. As you can see, I've got my office set up and it's a tax write off. I absolutely love that. So I'm not a tax advisor. So if you want to find out more information about that, definitely talk to your CPA. So those are definitely a lot of pros and in the really good column of working from home. But there could potentially be some cons and some reasons to maybe consider not working from home. So what I love about owning my own business is I get to be my own boss. The bad news about having your own business is I get to be my own boss, so I can hire and fire myself in the same day, depending on my attitude. So another thing is you have to be self-disciplined. So you don't have the clock and the boss and coworkers looking over your shoulder every second. So you've got to be able to not necessarily be a self-starter, but that definitely helps. But just know that you need to have set work times. You need to have set family times, and you've got to really get good at doing the work-life balance. It can be lonely at times. So that's where when I need to get some people time in, I will shift my working time to a Starbucks or find a networking group or just find a more social atmosphere to be able to do some work. It's harder to shut down So, there's always that the laptop or even the phones oftentimes of, wow, there's one more project I could do, or there's one more email I can send. It is definitely harder when you work from home to be able to close that door and say, okay, office is closed, time for something else. So you have to get really good at being your own boss and kind of setting that work life balance. When you work from home and say you aren't the boss, sometimes you do get the boss that does kind of overstep that line into sending the email at in the middle of the night, or overstepping into non-working hours. You also can have extra projects dumped on you because they want to make sure that you are actually working. That could be potentially a really big con and be really stressful. Lose a little bit of living space in your home, so you do have to donate a bit of square footage to your working environment. But for me, that's a tax write-off. I don't consider that a con. I think I consider that in the plus category, depending on how either your state or your working environment, and whether you own the business or you're working for someone else. Definitely check with your tax advisor to figure out which category that goes in, whether it's a positive or a negative. Relationships are harder to form sometimes when you're a remote worker and you don't have the water cooler, you network the FaceTime. You also might be seen by other coworkers who don't work remotely as slacking off, which I think is rude and misguided. And you are often overlooked for promotions because you're not visible. There's less ad hoc learning and collaboration. So when you are face to face, there are so many lessons that are learned, but there's ways around that too. That's, thank goodness for Skype and FaceTime and that sort of thing, and remote working that way. I think there are ways to work around every single one of these cons, but you have to be willing to do them and just know to look out for them. Endless distractions when you work from home. Netflix and Hulu and social media. There are tons of distractions that can derail you, even kids and even pets sometimes. But there's also, that can really hit your productivity. So there are definite cons, but there's also definite pros, and there's ways to work around each and every one of them. And again, it could be in your con category about taxes and other expenses, because you're in charge when you work from home, and instead of your employer taking care of all those expenses and medical and all that stuff, it's all on you. So that could be potentially a pro, that could be potentially a con. It just depends on how you want to work around it. So as you can see, there are pros and there are cons, and they're just ideas that you need to take into consideration when you are wanting to work from home or wanting to work remotely, or kind of doing kind of a little bit of both, to figure out which is best for you and your family. So if you have any questions, I would love if you commented below and let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear it. What do you think? Are these pros? Are these cons? Where do they fit in your life? And as I love to give out, I have a freebie for you. I got a free resource for you. Top 10s for working from home successfully. So you just go out to my website, which is heatherbresser.com/work from home. And that's all one word. And then you'll need an access code. And because you hung out so long, here it is. It is homework. HOMEWORK. All one word, all lowercase. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, make sure you hit that subscribe and the bell so that you're notified every time that content goes live, because there's always resources waiting just for you. And here are a few videos that I think you will like. One is, are your daily habits affecting your success? And the other is 5 strategies to create a more positive life. So as always, tribe, I hope you have a fabulous day.